Hello, and welcome to another episode of Capes and Commentaries. I'm your co-host, Nathan Kennedy, here with Tank Tops, Tyler Baker. And we're talking Injustice. Now, was this a fan request? Were people throwing this one out, or is this just what we decided to do on our own? I can't remember
someone
now.
requested that we do Justice League, which we'd always talked about doing anyway. But it was just Justice League. It was my idea to do. And the reason I called it Brave and the Bold last week is because I'd forgotten it came on the DVD set that I purchased individually years ago called Justice League Brave and the Bold.
I hate how Warner Brothers would do that with a lot of things. It's like,
then they would release the whole set, like the seasons on DVD, but there's little pissant DVDs for like $20 with 4 episodes on it. So that's why I got it confused, because it is on the Brave and the Bold DVD set, along with the episodes Brave and the Bold. But Injustice for All Part 1 is what we're doing today.
No link down below today, because Justice League is going to be one of those weird cartoons where anything that I tried to find was either like...
It's on Daily Motion, but it's flipped.
Yeah, but as I hit my microphone, but I also think too that it's slowed down just a little bit to be really annoying, because I was hearing the opening part where Bugs and the Warner Brothers is like, dim, 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 dim. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work for anybody. Plus, with it being like mirrored and reversed, it just... it would look dumb.
Yeah. Plus, you know what? By this point, guys, you should have DVDs for a lot of the stuff we're doing anyway. Unless it's obscure like Diner Riders or something, you ought to own X-Men and Justice League and Batman and Turtles on DVD at this point. So
blow all your money.
Yeah, blow all your money, or request it for Christmas presents or stocking stuffers. Getting sets or DVD seasons of some of these shows. So G.I. Joe,
or not, because Tyler's had some good luck with that. Hey, I want the Batman 60 series. No one bought it for him.
Yeah. Well, hopefully your all's family. I think it's okay to like that kind of stuff, as opposed to everyone else is just like, I can't be seen buying this. I'll just oh, look, there's some bubble gum. I'll give him some bubble gum. Throw that over there or something like that. I don't know. It wouldn't have been so heartbreaking if I didn't have 3 people ask me if I had bought it yet, or 3 people, and my brother, my girlfriend at the time, and my mom, and nobody got it for me. Nobody.
So Christmas was ruined, and you had to go out the next day.
Yeah, I had to go out
and
the next
buy
day and spend all the money that I got for Christmas to buy the entire set on Blu-ray, and I was like broke with all of the Christmas cash I got, because that's what I had to do to get it.
We could possibly see a repeat, right? Because you're wanting Batman the animated series on Blu-ray. And
I haven't asked anybody for that. I'm not going to. I just felt like I'm just not telling anybody. Plus, my family's doing something different where we're going to draw names and have like a price limit on everything. So it hadn't even occurred to me.
Isn't it kind of funny when it finally reaches that point? Because the girl that I was dating at the time, a couple of years went by where everyone was buying everything, and then they're like, yeah, we need to start drawing names and everything. So
I like it because it just allows me to
it saves...
and freak out about everything now. So that's why I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm certainly not going to ask. Will somebody get me the animated series set? Oh, what is that? Where do I get that at any Walmart? I don't know where that's at. It just, I couldn't find it. I went to the one in Fairlawn and I couldn't find them. Like, the hell you did.
Christmas is ruined.
It's just one of those things where you feel like, even if you point out to the most easiest spot to locate this kind of niche stuff, it's like I might as well ask them. It's in Nebraska. I don't know where it's at, but I know it's in Nebraska. Go get it. And they're like, I don't know where to go.
It's like Prince and wanting a camel at 3 a.m. It's like, where am I going to get a camel at 3 a.m. in Minnesota?
He doesn't understand, because he's living in Prince world. And that's kind of one of those things where you make it as simple as possible. And it's just one of those things. I will go as far as I can. If someone says they want something specific, I will go online. I'll go to every store. Even if it's an uncomfortable store to go into, I will go and look for it. Superhero stuff, it's just like, I got to get out of here. Whereas Nathan's just like, his parents come over with a sack full of like, we found all these like expensive ass comic books over here. Just dump them all over here. Maybe there might be something in there you might want there. By the way,
I don't want. And then you're just sitting there like, what?
Yeah, I'm like leaning. I'm standing outside Nathan's with my face pressed up against it. Nathan's like, what is this? I'm not familiar with that. Maybe that moron Tyler, since he didn't have any of this stuff. I'm sure maybe there's got to be something in here like Hulk 181. I think I've already got that. Well, No, I got 2 of them here. Put that in the box, Dad. I'll put it in storage. I'll get it some other time there.
Yeah, Tyler's pissed because I actually have that comic, but it's at my parents' house in storage.
Yes.
It's graded because
yeah.
When Tyler and I went to the beach, we went to the mall and there was this comic shop in there, and they had that issue, and then they had
Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, but the cover was like half ripped off. But
but it's Amazing Fantasy 15, man. It's just like it's just to see it in person, man. It's
and I'm just sitting there like, which one am I gonna buy? And Tyler's just sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
And he forked over hundreds of dollars to get Hulk 181.
325 to be exact.
Yeah.
I still remember.
You start going into dry heaves because you're like, did he really do this in front of me? You know? And I had to point out, I was like, that's Wolverine's first appearance. Huh. I'll take that. You're like, no!
It's part of the fun.
Oh,
I like doing that to Tyler. Like last weekend, we went to Antique. We went to an antique mall. Tyler, do not say the name of these because it's our secret place.
Oh yeah, we find out like goofballs from around go down. Yeah.
But we go there and Tyler's talking about, hey, there's this. You called it. It's actually a Secret Wars lunchbox, but where you referred to it?
I was calling it Marvel Superheroes, just Marvel Superheroes.
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was called.
So it's like there's this lunchbox that I've been looking for or wanting since I was a kid, and lo and behold, we walk through the thing and he finds it, and then not only that, but isn't it in the same booth? It's Spider-Man.
Same booth as Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 300. It was everything. Like the lunchbox was missing the thermos, and the guy wanted $125 for a lunchbox with no thermos.
Yeah. And then there's Clash of the Titans one and Rambo ones.
Rambo.
But they were all overpriced. We looked on eBay way cheaper.
Yeah. So it didn't make you feel like you'd be gut punch. Well, it did temporarily. Then you find out that everything was a lot cheaper. But to see Spider-Man 300 right there looking me right in the face, in the front of the case, and knowing Nathan's got that and had no idea what it was when I found it, it still just infuriates me. That story, going through his box of comics, pulling that out, like, you know what this is? No. Him and his dad both had no idea what they had in that box.
I'm sure my dad kind of did. Or he did at the time, I imagine. He probably over time forgot. But
yeah,
I'm kind of wondering what's happening because maybe it's just some people poking in, but we were up to 6 and then it dropped down a little bit.
I guess maybe got tired of us talking Marvel.
Yeah, maybe. But let's say hello to JSP, SSJ Mitts, Who Dat Well, and Febmon. Febmon was asking us, hey, Nathan, has Joe finally got the duct tape and used chewing gum repairs to a setup done yet? Or are we going to need to wait for the paper clips and rubber band? As far as I know, he's going to be good to go tomorrow, supposedly. I asked him. He says he's good. I believe Joe. Anytime he tells me anything, I trust him. And now Febmon's like, there goes Nathan with his only child lifestyle again. That one kid who has all the best stuff because his parents didn't want to make another kid. Exactly. I mean, I'm not gonna deny it. And you know, it's one of those things that I kind of wish I did have a sibling in the grand scheme of things because it would have taught me quite a few things growing up. Because I was one of those kids. I was terrible at sharing and. Gotten better about that. At least I hope, anyway.
Oh, absolutely. The guy's generosity knows no limits. I've experienced that all too well. So
time to pay it back.
Yes.
Those times.
So it was just always fun thinking about realizing all the awesome stuff Nathan had, and he wasn't really aware of like all the endless golden eggs he had in his collection of stuff that had been buried up. So I like to think that I had something to do with that when his dad found out that I love comic books so much, and he brought out just boxes and boxes and boxes of books.
Yeah, I think it was 6. I remember there always being 6 or 7, and then I started to move them into a couple of them into the longer boxes because some of those boxes were getting kind of. I mean, they were still holding pretty good, but They were just getting kind of like really grimy.
Yeah,
they were deteriorating. It was reaching that point where it's like, all right, it's time to start kind of switching these out into some fresh boxes. One day, dude, when I get a bigger space, I will.
You need to let me just go through the ones that you need to make sure you put on display, and Hulk 181, Amazing Spider-Man 300, and some other good treasure troves in there too that you need to make sure you put them in a frame.
Maybe I can take some of those and go with you down to that convention and get some of those graded.
Yeah,
that way
you really should. And I don't know if Big Lick, the one in Roanoke, if they offer grading there too, because it's getting a little bit bigger each time they have it. I think they have it like twice a year.
Yeah,
but you definitely need to get those graded. And then I could be even more sad knowing how much more like your books become, because they were in good shape.
Yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man 300 was in good shape.
Yeah, I know, because when we got that new, like we got that fresh when it came out. So,
which was, I think, was 88.
Yeah, because I would say between like 88 through like 93, Dad and I were just hunting for comics all the time. New shit's coming out. I'd look at the cover and be like, man, that looks really cool. I'd be like, all right, let's get it. All right. But then I got like just a bunch of just shit comics too, like Joe Montana comic. It's like, what? And then there's like, some of the Looney Tunes ones. But I mean, to have Master Universe G.I. Joe comics out the ass, Turtles comics, it's cool. I miss that part. I miss it being as accessible. You can go into a grocery store and there's comic books, or going to
not just one or two. Like all the top tier like Marvel books would be available at your local food line around here. You go to the spinner rack and oh man, there's Iron Man, or there's G.I. Joe. So it was a lot of fun. It really was. But I guess, well, you know what? We're ranting, but at least we're ranting about superheroes and comic books, which stays in line with what we're discussing today on the commentary. So hopefully our traditional rants are not straying too far.
No, we done bored them all to death.
Well, I mean, if you guys are all about DC, can give Marvel Disney the middle finger for canceling any plans to keep Daredevil alive.
Well, all right, let's talk about that for a second. I think the main reason that I feel like those shows are going to end up on the
No,
Disney.
They've already announced that they have no desire
to
keep this going. Larry Houston posted an article today saying that Disney, the execs for the Marvel Disney group, don't see eye to eye with the guys who worked on the Marvel shows for Netflix, and they have no desire to keep those shows or those characters going with what's been established already. Like, as far as I know, they're dead. They are not. They're not going to be used
because it's gritty and not fluffy.
Yeah, and it's serious. It's not a bunch of oh man, jokes and dancing and shucking and jiving all over the place.
I was waiting for that part, but I think in the grand scheme of things,
like, you know what? You're not getting any more of my money here. It's like, it's done.
Well,
as if it hadn't been proven already. This decision has proven that I will not see another Marvel movie made by Disney ever again because of that decision. Why would you deny fans something like that? It means Punisher has no future. Ghost Rider has no future. All the hard edge superheroes that are like the more ground level guys, they're doomed. They are dead, and they will never see the light of day again. It ain't happening.
It's kind of showing more and more that over time, this Disney buying up, it's just a bad idea. I mean, look what's happened to Star Wars. It's
dead too. I don't care what they throw at us next. It's dead. At least in terms of getting good movies. It'll make money because it's just Star Wars, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Right. So what's... Even though they're canceled, or is this going to be a thing where those are still going to remain on Netflix?
They'll stay on Netflix. Like, there's no timetable as to when they'll stop playing. So they still have the rights to keep.
I guess seasons. I better hurry up and watch season 3 then.
Well, it'll still be up, and Punisher 2 is filming. It has yet to be released, and Jessica Jones season 2 has yet to be released too. So they are in the middle of those, and they'll get released on Netflix. But kind of makes you feel like whatever they got planned for Punisher means nothing if they manage to make the second season better, at least in my opinion. It's like, what are you shooting for when you're dead? You're not coming back for a third season. All your efforts mean nothing.
Man, that's doesn't
It's
doesn't make
scary. It's just heartbreaking to think you could get such good quality storytelling and great acting. Nope. We don't like you guys. We don't like your points of views on stuff. It doesn't work for us financially. And we have no plans to keep the fans happy with this stuff.
Well, like, what's it gonna be on the Disney streaming service anyway? Is it just gonna be the Marvel movie, Star Wars, like just the old Disney, like just accessible, or is there gonna be original content? I would think that there would be, but what's that gonna be? Is it just gonna be like
they haven't even announced it in original content? As far as I know, it's just streaming the Marvel movies that have been done, and that's it. And it'll probably be, the crap cartoons they've dished out, instead of, if you've got the rights to, why don't you play like the old Spider-Man cartoons, either from the 90s or the 80s, or Spectacular Spider-Man, but that was done by Sony, it's its own thing. Disney wants nothing to do with it. It's just one of those things where if Disney doesn't create it, they're probably not going to push it, even if they may have the rights for it.
No, so it's kind of like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
It's like you have, and granted, having the WWE network and like having most of that content anyway on there. Finally, it's good to have all of that, but Vince had that opportunity, and it's funny because he hates the idea of like war games and everything, which is funny because it's like, all right, NXT has been doing war games now. Granted, the rules are a little bit different, and the cage it doesn't have a top on it, which at the end of the day kind of benefits anyway if it's not going to be Hell in the Cell size. But yeah, that's kind of mirroring itself a lot. But yeah, fuck Disney for just kind of. Because look, not everyone's gonna want it to be like fluffy. We need the grit and grime, especially when it comes to those characters. Like that needs that. And like you said, if it doesn't have that, then it's dead. It's dead. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and that's what it scares me, that if it's got to be light and fluffy Spider-Man, Iron Man with the Robert Downey quips, and Captain America and the Galaxy, and that's it. If it's not any of those characters, it's not bankable for dressing up, getting people dressed up. You're not going to see Ghost Rider walking around, Disney World, shaking hands with the families and stuff like that, or the Punisher hanging out, taking pictures in one of the local dining halls with families and stuff.
I need to actually send you a link to a video that is basically the history of the Spider-Man ride that's at Universal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you would get a kick out of that. Not only is it a cool video just talking about like the making and the history of the ride, but they also kind of go into when Disney obtained the rights to Marvel, how that would potentially have affected that and the deals that they worked out. It's an interesting video. I'll find it and send you a link.
I'll check it out. And that's a ride I always wanted to check out. I always thought
that's kind of a ride that I actually want to go ride, because it looks awesome. Like really cool. Really well done.
Yeah, if anybody's been on it, let me know all the villains that are, because I know it's pretty villain heavy, I think.
Yeah, it's
so I'd love to know who's in it. I think Dr. Octopus, Electro.
Yep. Green Goblin. Green Goblin's kind of like I want to say he's sort of the main catalyst
awesome.
in the whole thing.
It should be too.
I think there's maybe one or two more people in there. I don't know. I'll send you the link though. So check it out. But yeah, if anyone out there listening to this has been on that ride, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought.
Let us know what you think about Disney destroying our infatuation with Daredevil.
Yeah, because I even though I still need to watch season 3, those first 2 seasons very, very good. Which, you know what, I feel like those deserve me to buy them on Blu-ray and have them in the collection.
At this point, I want to make sure that I do.
You should, just in case.
Because it may come a day where Netflix is like, you know what, we can't keep these on anymore. So I will need to buy. I know season 1's out. I can't remember season 2.
Season 2, yeah, season 2 is.
Okay, all right, then I do need to buy them then.
I don't,
because I want a hard copy to watch those at any point and not have it taken away from me due to some sort of like loophole with Disney.
Yeah, well, I remember seeing them at Target, which that's another little thing. I hate that they've sized down their physical media, and I get it. You know, people are going digital and whatever, but I'm looking at it like my internet plan is capped. Like there's only so many gigs I can use a month, and then I start getting charged more. And I feel like most companies are probably going to start doing that going forward. And sorry guys, like I hate the fact that like you have to download the digital stuff. And yes, movies are a lot smaller size than compared to like video games, but still I hate the idea of just I like physical media. Now if I absolutely have to, I'll go digital, but yeah. All right, yeah, I'm looking.
It's like what Stan Lee said about breasts. You know, it's nice to look at them digitally, but it's better to have them in your hand. When he's making references to actual comic books compared to digital, and he compared it to breast. And man, that's why he's Stan Lee.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It looks like the Daredevil Blu-rays that are showing up on here. It's like it's an all region, but it's kind of got the region 2 stickering on it. So I feel like that's not exactly.
I've seen it at Walmart a long time ago, but I wasn't going to buy it because at the time I couldn't justify spending the money when I got it on Netflix at the moment. So
yeah,
because I wanted to make sure my dad got to see it, and I would have been nice to have a hard copy for him to borrow.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dig around on that one. But Justice League.
Let's get back to the other side of the spectrum of comic books, DC Justice League.
Yeah, and man, they kept the streak going. We had Batman the animated series, we had Superman the animated series, we had Batman Beyond, and then along came Justice League. And I'm going to admit this now, while I like those first 2 seasons of Justice League Unlimited for me takes the cake overall.
Like I agree.
Once they switched to that and we started focusing on just like the doors are wide open. Let's start. Here's an episode on Booster Gold. Here's an episode where the Question is heavily featured. And I'm just like, it's nice to see these guys getting the love. And you could see that. You could tell that they loved all of these characters. And it's fantastic cartoon. It ranks up there with Batman the Animated Series as one of the best.
Yeah, if someone were to say they felt Justice League was the best of the DC animated stuff, you couldn't argue it because of how good the quality was with the character, the writing of all the characters, the dialogue, getting characters like Green Arrow, Booster Gold, the Question. One of my favorite episodes, Cat Fight, where you got Black Canary and Huntress taking on Wonder Woman and Hawk Girl and I forgot what her name was, the girl that hooks up with Green Lantern in the show. She's kind of like a cat, like not Cheetah. It's not her name, of course. That's a Wonder Woman villain. But one of the best episodes of the Unlimited series is the cat fight in the arena. Like, oh, it's so cool. It was such a badass episode. But yeah, we'll definitely have to do some Justice League Unlimited. But I picked this one because when this show was a regular show on Cartoon Network, I caught this like a rerun episode on a Saturday afternoon, and I thought it was interesting until the Joker showed up, and then my brain popped out of my skull, and then it was just all I could do to contain myself when the Joker shows up in a Justice League episode. And a team up of all things too.
What was the original air date on this? Probably sometime in like 2002.
Probably because the original airings would be on Saturday night. And I remember catching this on the Saturday afternoon in like one of the rerun spots when we got back from shopping or something like that, me and my brother. And I think they played the second part right afterwards too, so I got to see them back to back. And then bought the single disc before they released the seasons. I think at Walmart, so I could have the Injustice for All 2 episodes. That's the reason I bought it, was just for those 2 episodes because I love the Joker's portrayal and teaming up with Luthor and the Humanite, and seeing Solomon Grundy and Star Sapphire and Cheetah, Shade, Copperhead. It was just amazing to see all these villains together in this episode.
And not only that, but villains that are sort of, those aren't the first ones that come to mind.
Yeah, because that was the first time I'd ever seen Copperhead in the Shade. I'd heard of Sapphire, definitely heard of Solomon Grundy, definitely heard of Cheetah. And of course, Joker Lex Luthor. I knew this since I was a kid, since I was little. But it was just cool to see them and be introduced to some new villains that were quite cool. Even not to know anything about them, I'm like, God, these are some awesome looking characters because they're treating these villains with a lot of respect and dignity and portray them as competent characters, not just, just because they may not be as well known as your Joker or Lex Luthor doesn't mean that they can't be portrayed as very serious, competent characters. And that's what I loved about what these guys did. No matter how obscure the characters were, these cartoons really introduced you to, like, even the obscure heroes and villains can be just as badass as the top tier characters. And I love that about all the DC anime stuff from the 90s and maybe early 2000s. I can't remember what the running time was for Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, but
I think it went from 2002 to roughly 2004.
Okay, that sounds
about right.
Yeah.
I would see kind of advertisements for it, and I think I caught an episode or two during its original run, but I didn't watch all of these until after the sets had come out, and I bought them all and basically just sat down and started just binge watching through the whole thing.
It's an easy show to binge watch. You put it in like one
it really
disc.
Is. Well, I mean,
Unlimited.
Well, especially with these first couple seasons too, because pretty much all of the episodes on here they're multiple parts, so 2-parters, 3-parters. Like you can look on the back of this. I don't think there's not even a single one. I'll go ahead and hold it up here for the camera for you guys to see. There we go. It's all just part 1, part 2, part 1, part 2, part 1, part 2, part 3. So they just, you have to binge watch it, or at least, like chunks of episodes, which we're only watching the first part today. So part 2 will probably come back to maybe in a couple weeks.
We can go and do that. We could go and do that next week, because we said me and Nathan told privately we would do Cops next week. But
yeah,
you know what? We probably need to finish this up, so we'll do Injustice Part 2 next week, and then follow up with the first episode an episode of Cops.
I'd say let's do the first episode of Cops. I feel like that would be a good starting point.
Well, it doesn't matter, because it's not really like a consistency of like continuity. It's all just kind of like random crimes and stuff like that too. So we can either do that, and there was one in particular I wanted to make sure, like that featured Mace, who was my favorite of all the cops. I'll have to dig through and figure out which one, but we can either do the first one or one of the more specific ones.
Okay.
That I think you'll like. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do Injustice Part 2 next Saturday as well.
All right. That way we can go ahead and
compact.
We wrap it up. Nice little package.
All right. If you guys are ready, I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1, action.
Now, this episode actually here at the beginning has, as we'll come to find out, has it's got a little serious overtone to it, or I guess undertone. I don't know. English is hard.
It's wasn't for me.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Kind of like
all right, so yeah. So here's like the opening bit. Lex Luthor's got the kryptonite in his hand, and he's got Superman at his will, and he's gonna pull the old switcheroo on him.
It's a great ploy to have played on Lex Luthor. I mean, obviously using John, Martian Manhunter, to set this whole thing up, just to get Luthor to spill the beans on his latest scheme, so they can arrest him. But I love Martian Manhunter. This is the show that really introduced me heavily to Martian Manhunter, because as a kid, I really didn't know much about him. So thanks to this show, that's why I have such a great appreciation for a lot of the.
Now, do you think Batman was supposed to like grab that and put it in his utility belt all along? Because I kind of took it as a thing. It's like, I'm gonna hold on to this.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it too, because he is the guy that, he always wants to make sure that if anybody decides to turn, he's got something he can use against them. I mean, because
we actually get the episode kind of dedicated to such a storyline at some point during the run.
It's just kind of his, not that he doesn't trust people, but he always wants to. You always want to make sure that if it ever happens, you're prepared for it. Because I'm sure, he clearly does trust every member of the Justice League. And of course, if he doesn't, he won't until proven otherwise. But you just always want to be prepared for such things, and I can't say I blame him. But I'm sure, to have that direct conversation, if we just throw out like a random, and I know it's been done before. You see Luther having his heart or blood poison issues here due to the exposure of kryptonite. But because did you watch the second episode by chance, just for fun? Oh no. Man! All right, well then I won't say anything then. But this next to Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman is about as definitive as it will ever get. Tim Daly is to Superman as Kevin Conroy is to Batman. Like I don't want to hear anybody else's voice coming out of Superman's mouth, except Tim Daly. That is it.
This is kind of like the main thing that I enjoy Superman being in. Everything else, I just like, Christopher Reeve, of course, but it just
I get why people don't like Superman because they felt like he's all too powerful. But I mean, you throw him in shows like this, you have to have him in signs of struggle and getting.
That's what I was gonna say. At least the good thing about the show is they find good ways to put him in a place where he doesn't seem as strong and powerful all the time. How do you feel about this intro, by the way?
I mean, as a kid, I thought it was great. Obviously, I was never really a big fan of using a lot of CGI in 2D animation for whatever reason. I mean, they would do it in He-Man, they did it in the Spider-Man show in the 90s, they did it here. I just felt like embrace the 2D. It was just kind of one of those things. Like it looked cool at the time, but I'm all about the 2D. That's where it's at, and that's where all the glory resides. Excuse me. And it's fun to see these up close and personal conversations with Lex and Superman it's like Superman's there and concerned for his health, even though these guys are mortal enemies. It's just interesting to see them in a much more vulnerable spot as opposed to trying to stop Luthor from, becoming president or one of the many other threats.
I like this part though because it shows how much of a bastard he is. He's he finds out the news that because he's had this carried on him, it's affected him. It's poisoned his blood. He's got cancer and everything, and his first instinct is just this is your fault.
Which would be his. This is how you portray Lex Luthor,
And give Superman credit. He's like, is there anything I can do? And he's like, no, you've done enough. It's
this businessman has tried to kill you an ungodly amount of times, and Superman still shows up and still wants to offer condolences to at least try and help. And I'm sure because of who Superman is, knowing that the kryptonite, pieces have landed on Earth, people have been looking for it and chasing after it in a very kind of roundabout way. If Superman wasn't there, there'd be no reason to even bother with kryptonite. So there is kind of it's clearly not justifiable Lex's part.
Fedmon was saying just like He-Man and Donna Dragoon in the regards to
exactly.
And I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Excellent point there. If I could, I'd give you a high five for that one. I don't fist bump. I don't like fist bumping. That's stupid and lame.
I like fist bumping just because you avoid the hands.
It sounds more manly to
I get that, but
doing the whole like this and then doing pow
when you fist bump, you don't have to do the explosion thing after it.
It sounds more masculine to at least shake hands. I understand the whole germ thing, but it looks too trendy and too you got to be cool kids.
Too trendy and cool.
This.
All those hipster kids fist bumping each other at their Starbucks and
their hula hoops and their Pac-Man video games. I know, about as old school as, even though it's 34 years old, I talk like I'm in my 60s here.
Shucking and jiving.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And nothing makes me smile more than seeing villains team up. I mean, I don't care what kind of simple story it is or how elaborate. When I see villains team up, I'm just, you have got my money immediately from the get-go.
Let's talk about how this is even starting anyway. He's listening to shit that's annoying the piss out of Luther, and Luther like hacks into his little box to like infiltrate the TV. Just like, hey, can you cut it out?
And offers them money, and obviously, Human Knight's not really concerned with that kind of stuff, but to Lex's credit, Lex is like the $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. And I kind of was under the impression in this episode, and as we'll see in part 2, I almost feel like Lex never gave any of these guys a single dime. It was all like money he promised and just kept upping the ante at price-wise. And I often wondered, I don't think any of these guys ever got paid for the job that he hires them for.
I mean, it makes sense because he's a bastard.
Yeah. I just love seeing like Batman on patrol here. Just things like that. That's what you see these superheroes doing. And just seeing the Batmobile running along the streets. Not exactly sure what city this is. It could be Metropolis. It could be Gotham. It could be just some random city in the DC universe. We don't know. And I kind of like how ambiguous all of this is.
Well, they found a good way to just open up the universe.
And it's really not necessary to sit there and say where you're at, because it's really not important anyway. But it just lets you know how vast it is. And with the Justice League, these guys,
It looks like Metropolis just based off of the M on the side of that cop car.
Yeah, and it probably is Metropolis. Because it's kind of one of those things, too, at least with this small group of Justice League members before Unlimited comes along, you've got a small group that has to stay within, the watchtower. You got guys on the ground patrolling, or, I'm sure Batman's got to go back to Gotham to be on patrol. Superman's got to get back to Metropolis. Flash has got to get back to Metro City. And I think that's the name of Flash's location, I believe. But, I mean, all of them have got their individual worlds that they go through, but they've all got to work as a team. It's kind of it's like the Avengers too, and of course with Unlimited, when you've got an ungodly amount of heroes that go on patrol, you feel like everybody can kind of go do their own thing until it's time for me to clock in. I remember though when they announced Justice League, I was quite bummed that Hawkman wasn't in the show and we got Hawkgirl instead. Like I understand like adding more women, but to me, like Wonder Woman was about as definitive as you were going to get. For me personally, it's like I wanted to see Hawkman. Of course, I grew to like Hawkgirl, of course.
Yeah, they did a good job of kind of changing your mind.
Yeah, they tweak things up, to kind of just mix it up a little bit, and when Unlimited comes along, you see such a wide assortment of characters teaming up, and that's what I love about Unlimited is you see Flash team up with these two, and you see Superman team up with these two, and Batman conversing with Green Arrow and stuff. Here's Cheetah, which I think I became familiar with her after playing the Justice League fighting game for Super Nintendo.
Oh, that piece of shit.
Yeah, I had fun playing it though as a kid. Like it was tough, but
it doesn't hold up though. It's kind of clunky.
Yeah, I imagine it probably did, but
maybe I can stream that one day and just be like,
just be angry sucks. The whole time.
That sucks.
And it's always fun to see villains kind of bump into each other like this and have a bit of a scuffle. Kind of like how superheroes do when they there's always a misunderstanding because we want to see the heroes fight each other, the villains fight each other, and then team up for a common goal. It's always fun. I like seeing that statue like the Wonder Twins back there that we saw briefly. There's Solomon Grundy.
Oh, hey, thanks, Joe, for popping in. He told me not to stream it because I'm terrible at games.
I guess Joe's issuing a challenge with the Spider-Man jacket on for a Justice League tussle with you.
We'll play Tetris. High score. Whoever wins gets the jacket.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Flash is Central City, Tyler. You've been
Central
correct.
City. I'm sorry, Metro City. I don't know why. I apologize for that. I don't claim to know as much about DC as I do Marvel. I try to know enough, but I if I was to go up against DC fans, well, in terms of like trivia and stuff, I was like, I'll give it a shot and bow out gracefully because I know I'd get my butt kicked.
The Shade's pretty badass. I like his.
I kind of figured that was a character that you were going to have a liking to. I really did that, or think that when you.
I like Solomon Grundy a lot too.
Yeah,
I've always liked his designs.
Yeah, he definitely has that kind of like classic Frankenstein feel to him. And I just love how serious this whole situation is. All these villains are not played for laughs. They're all taken very seriously. Lex respects them all. Like, he hired them personally, so you feel like they should be taken seriously because Lex doesn't dabble in, pissant plans.
I wonder how he reaches out to them. Is there just like a villain network where all the numbers are listed and you can just give them a call? Or I wonder how that works.
Like, Lex definitely is like almost like the Doctor Doom of the DC universe. This guy's got connections anywhere and everywhere. He knows people. I'm sure it would take a little time to reach out to all these guys.
Well, I mean, just think, do they have a central base like how the Justice League has here? And as we see in this shot, do you think they all have a place that they go and they hang out?
I know, like in the episode that focuses more on Flash's Rogues Gallery villains, like you see Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, Mirror Master, the Trickster, all hanging out in this bar together.
Well, I mean,
as terms like of a commonplace, no, I don't really think that's kind of the case, unless they're depicted as such in the comic book. I look at this way as like Lex.
They're all like cliques, like Batman's Rogues Gallery. We know hangs out from almost. They play poker together,
anyway, and they hang out in Arkham, so they would have a more a closeness or a kinship if they've all served time in Arkham because they all have a common enemy. And same thing with Superman's villains. But you kind of feel like everybody can cross over with each other, of course. But I just figure Lex is the kind of guy that could make connections with everybody. Like, just his network of information and people that he knows could easily get in contact with all those villains very quickly. I mean, when the guy's sole purpose is trying to figure out how to destroy Superman by seeking out pieces of kryptonite, things like that, the guy's heavily well networked. I'm like, I wouldn't question anything that Lex Luthor does based on his assortment of technology and information at his disposal all the time.
Yeah, I just imagine Grundy waiting by his phone like Gangrel, and then he gets that call.
Yeah, but there are so many other villains. I would throw the analogy of Gangrel at. Definitely not Solomon Grundy. Imagine Solomon Grundy's kind of like the Kane of the DC universe, so to speak.
I kind of, the one thing I do like about this a lot throughout the run, anytime Superman is in a fight, and you could say it for most of them, but anytime specifically Superman is in a fight and he's in fisticuffs with any of these guys, they make it a point to make like the punches just sound different.
I was actually going to make a point about that myself. Is listen to Superman punch. It's just like, oh man, he just makes it's like the punches in Indiana Jones, like that snapping noise when they punch. Yeah. It sounds so much more impactful when Superman lays in a punch. Oh, look at it. Epic entrance for the Shade.
And props to Mattel, they actually managed to release most of these guys in some form or fashion.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah. It's kind of surprised that they did, and it wasn't just variants of Batman and Superman.
Yeah, I mean, we got Humanite, we got Lex Luthor and various outfits, we got Batman. It was just, I didn't buy any of them, but it was always fun to see who they'd release because they'd release like these box sets of multiple characters and things. And
actually have the question figure that you bought for me. On display right here.
I thought you meant the.
Well, I mean those two, like the 3 3/4 ones, but like this line's badass.
Yeah, the DC Universe figures were badass. Yeah. Yeah, I made sure I bought a few of those myself with like the Michael Keaton style Batman. This is my favorite figure by far. The Batman Beyond figure. I got the San Diego Comic-Con Swamp Thing. Which it's a shame we never got Swamp Thing in this show.
Yeah.
And this also, I mean, I always, I liked Wonder Woman a lot because I used to watch the show as a kid. But this show, I think, I just love her depiction throughout the entire show. everything. I almost feel like, we'll repeat ourselves in terms of like why the show is so good. But I just want to take time and really just emphasize everybody's portrayal. Like like everyone gets a time to shine. And even an episode like this, these two episodes are definitely a little bit more Batman heavy, and rightfully so, because there's part of it plays into the part of the story. But I mean, all this fight, like I don't feel like any of the villains or any of the heroes don't get enough to do. Like it's just seeing the whole fight itself. It's just so cool. Everybody gets to kick ass.
Oh, poor Batman.
Yep.
That guy one of ours too.
And it's just seeing Batman in such a vulnerable spot is, it just, and it's frustrating for him. It has to be frustrating for Bruce because John clearly makes, the point that, you don't have superpowers. You're human. You're vulnerable. You're more vulnerable than any of us. That has got to be a major bruise to the ego. And Batman would never admit it, of course, which is why he's so, stubborn about staying put. Because Superman's right.
I like how he looks at him and then just kind of like looks at him like again differently.
Yeah,
and of course Batman's gonna get up and start digging and doing research.
Yeah, and I like how Martian, is clearly making a very valid point with Batman. And of course, Batman's not paying attention to any of it. And I like when he decides, you're going to try and stop me, and he just steps aside. And because, Martian's he's not an aggressor. He's not someone you want to mess with, I'll tell you that right now. But, I think he has an understanding of how Batman feels right now. And here we go. Now, I have to ask you, what was your thoughts when Joker comes bursting in here?
I mean, cool.
He steals the show, and even more so in the second episode. Man. And that's what you want to see. Like Luthor may be running the show, but you owe respect to the people you've hired. Here he is. He looks
Get out of here.
And the way he speeds in like that. I just love how they animate him in this episode. Rubbing Lex's head.
He's up with a party hat on out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's so God, he's so good.
Knocks Grundy out immediately.
Maybe so. He looks. This new look of the Joker looks so polished, just stunningly evil.
Isn't it funny though how Lex was just like, "Oh, I didn't know that Batman put something on me." Like you would think he would know to just like check for that. He's too power hungry. He's focused too much.
Well, and that's why, I could see why you wouldn't want to team up the Joker, but the Joker knows Batman inside and out. He knows how Batman thinks, which is why Batman has such a struggle with him. It's dangerous. It's a wild card, but you'd be foolish not to take because it works. Just coming with a briefcase full of cinder blocks or concrete in there. That's just an epic shot. All the villains hovering over Batman. and watching Joker grab a hold of his head because he's laughing so hard. Man, what an excellent touch.
To be continued. Dun, dun.
Oh, man, so good. I just love that so much. And I'm so glad they got Mark Hamill to come back to play the Trickster in Justice League Unlimited. That was so cool with his snot gun.
Yeah,
we'll have to do that episode. That's one of my favorite episodes of Unlimited too. Is
Did you watch the Flash TV show? I only watched a little bit of it as a kid, and I was like, this kind of sucks.
Oh, you mean the
live action one?
I watched. Remember they had the movie on VHS, which was like the pilot episode, and I rented it a few times, and I could probably appreciate it more as an adult. I haven't watched it since I was a kid. but I found it actually kind of boring as a child. I guess just because I didn't see the Flash in action enough. I didn't.
Yeah, same here. I bet if I revisited it, it might be a little bit better. But
yeah, I remember renting the episode with the Trickster in it because they released that on VHS too, and I rented that, and I guess just because I knew it was Mark Hamill playing the Trickster, but I just kind of didn't know what to make of it. It just didn't leave an impression on me like I'd hoped it would. Because the Flash himself looked great, like the suit and everything, molded muscle. I thought it looked great visually. But I'm not opposed to revisiting that show. I'm really not. I just never made it a priority. It's just not, definitely intrigues me. Maybe someday I'll get around to checking that out again because it's available on DVD and clips of it on YouTube, I'm sure. But that's Justice League and Justice for All, Part 1.
I think it's funny sometimes when you start saying something, I just don't respond to it on purpose.
Yeah, so then
and it's just like dead air.
A joke or remark about, oh, there's an uncomfortable laugh. How about that?
Fedmon says the Swamp Thing cartoon is on YouTube.
Yeah,
all five episodes.
Yeah, which I like. I thought the Unmen were really cool, and people can say what they want about the show, like Bayou Jack or Tomahawk and Bayou Jack. Yeah, Swamp Thing's buddies, and the two kids kind of based on the Return of the Swamp Thing movie. I like the cartoon. I think it looks really cool. I definitely would love to check that out or revisit that show.
Yeah, that's something we can do for the show at some point.
Yeah. I hope others like the show too. Or the toy line was awesome. I had some of the toys.
I don't want to dig them out.
I think I know which ones you got over there.
I'll dig them out. I just gotta be careful because I don't want to knock over these guys.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That was my favorite one. That's the one I got from my brother.
It's the one where his
hand extends. Yeah,
and then you just
so cool.
Squeeze his legs and it
still works.
Yep, still works.
Don't you have another one too? Like the one where you put him in the freezer and he turns brown.
Or
the glow in the dark one.
This was the only one I had from as a kid. There is one that I got that's in the package that I got down the street from my parents. Like in the springtime, they block off a road and basically just have vendors set up there. And I went and he had some of those, and that's packed away somewhere. I need to dig that out too. See, when I get the bigger house, I'm just displaying all of it. That's all going to be displayed. All of it.
But glad to hear the support for the Swamp Thing show. So yeah, you could add that to the list of yes, we will cover Swamp Thing. Probably start with the first episode on that one. With Weed Killer and Skin Man and Dr. What's the name of the he's kind of like a witch doctor almost. Dr. Is Arcane, Weed Killer, Skin Man, and Dr. something. He's got the black kind of voodoo hat, sharp teeth, kind of bad skin.
I don't remember the cartoon at all, honestly. I remember just the figures and being like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, maybe it did. Maybe I did see some of it at some point. I don't know.
I didn't see a whole lot on TV. I do remember USA having a Swamp Thing marathon on a Saturday where they were going to play the cartoon episodes of the live action show, and they were going to top it off with the Return of Swamp Thing movie. And I had to get up and leave and go to my granny's house because my dad was doing yard work for us, so we couldn't stay there and watch the Swamp Thing marathon. Oh, I was so mad.
How old were you at the time?
I was in elementary school because it was right after I discovered the Return of Swamp Thing movie. I was like a junkie for that movie as a kid. So the cartoon came out, the figures were out, the live action show was on USA. So it was a good time to be a Swamp Thing fan. Really I
remember the live action show. I maybe that's what made me buy the figures because I remember watching that a lot. And that's a show I need to get on DVD. I know that they have them in 2 volumes.
Yeah, there's 2 volumes, the entire series. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to pick those up.
Yeah, I do too. Dick the Rock back as Swamp Thing, and with the cool voice, the cool outfit. I mean, everything. He looked great as Swamp Thing. Man. I love the opening credits for the Swamp Thing show too. It's very just beautiful. It sounds epic as hell. Yeah. So cool.
How old were you when you were finally able to just stay at home by yourself?
I remember the first time I actually did stay home by myself. I think I was in elementary school, 4th or 5th grade, I think.
Okay.
And it was only for an hour. My dad, it was on a Sunday, And my dad said he had to run down to the church for like a meeting or something like that. And he said, I'll let you stay here by yourself just for an hour. I said, all right. Immediately, I thought it was going to be like Home Alone, where I'm going to go upstairs, eat popcorn, jump on the bed. And all I did was just sit upstairs in my room and watch Nickelodeon for an hour. I didn't do anything else.
Wow. Yeah, I think I was about 11 when my parents were like, all right, we're comfortable with you staying at home by yourself for most of the day. And I was like, all right. So I would just hang out in my room, play video games.
Yeah, that's all me and my brother would ever do too. As long as we had games and movies and cartoons and toys, we're good. They stay quiet.
I snuck out the house and then I found some drugs.
Yeah, started snorting Smarties in the back of the house. Saw that residue all over your mouth.
Man, all those dumbass kids snorting sweet tarts and shit like that. What a bunch of dumbasses. Did you have that in your schools? Because I had kids that were doing that. I was like, what are you doing?
No, I remember there was some kid, and I was in high school, like actually brought like a bag of crushed aspirins and sat next to me and just started snorting them right next to me on the bus. I'm like, good God, man. He was like I think I was a junior, and he was like a freshman. And he was just, eyes were all bloodshot. And the minute he sat down in the seat, he just started sniffing pills.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'm like, God. See, you know what? That's why I was so glad to have outlets of toys, comic books, and wrestling and stuff like that. Keep you occupied. It keeps you excited.
Well, not only that, I'm glad that we had good heads on our shoulders and we weren't doing stupid shit like that when we were young.
I know we were listening to McGruff, man.
I mean, I didn't go that far.
No, I'm just making that up. I could care less about any of those drug dare programs, like whatever gets us out of doing math. So yes, I'll sit here and listen to all this,
Oh, and I get a T-shirt. Oh, sweet.
Great, man. And we get math class shortened. This is fantastic. I say no to drugs too. As if like, dude, I got common sense here, people. Yeah. Well, I saw Saved by the Bell with Johnny Dakota. I know there's no hope with dope. I saw the all-star cartoons to the rescue where Michelangelo and Kermit and Garfield and Alf, they're all trying to keep remind kids not to smoke pot. I remember seeing that special on CBS when it came on.
Yeah. It always had to be pot or cigarettes. It couldn't be like, in the grand scheme, yes, cigarettes are harmful, but it's been proven now scientifically that marijuana, and I don't smoke weed, and I don't pretend the 2 times I did, I didn't really like it that much, but compared to all the other hard drugs, I would say that's just lower end of the spectrum. But it is funny how that seems to get the central focus when it comes to like those specials, and you go back even further into like the 50s and 60s where they have that weird like reefer madness, blah blah blah. It's kind of funny how history's just a weird, funny thing that you go back and you see those relics of the past, and it's just like, holy shit, they were really paranoid and worried about this, and it's just like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's not hurting anybody, really.
To kind of veer it in that other territory, to just see like the really racist shit that became available, like the little figurines and all that stuff. With like, it was bad. I'm like, God. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's not go down that road. Next week we'll do part 2, and then we'll do Cops. And then what was the plan after that? We had something else in mind too.
Yeah, we had someone throw out to us Mask, the 80s, the 66 Spider-Man cartoon.
That's what we were gonna do. We were gonna do one of the Spider-Man cartoons.
They're really short. They're not a full like 22 minutes. They're actually pretty short episodes. So we could do a double up, like a bang for your buck, like one episode of that and maybe something else, or do 2 episodes of the Spider-Man 66 show. I mean, I don't know what we could do.
Yeah,
I definitely want to do the Lizard episode. Like if we just do one, definitely want to do the Lizard episode.
Okay.
But we'll figure out what to attach to, or maybe just be a super short episode anyway.
Yeah. Well, we say that, and then we just start
end up being like
two
hour commentary for a 10-minute episode of the 66 Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah. And Fedmon once again says that I get my fix these days with Twilight Sparkle, and I one day I just need to bring Emily on the show, because every time it's mentioned. And did you see the reboot picture that Doosan did?
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
I thought that looked just like you. He rebooted as like some sort of lame ass like anime style cartoon with Nathan with like orange hair that kind of sticks out. Yeah.
but
me as a Chris Pratt fan, and Joe as a woman.
It is not Twilight Sparkle. It is Berry Punch. She wanted me to throw that out there again, but I will bring her on the show one day to just confirm to everyone. It's Berry Punch, and the reason that it's funny and the reason that that's sitting there to begin with is because Berry Punch supposedly is the one that's always with the other ponies at, like, anytime they're all together, but it's always the one that they've sort of dubbed the alcoholic pony for whatever reason. I think it's alluded to in an episode that like it's always drinking something, and the weird fandom that it is basically said that she's like the alcoholic pony. So that was sort of the running gag, but it is Berry Punch for the record.
Probably going to make sure she gets introduced to Stridor and Night Stalker from He-Man. That way you can have Stridor and Night Stalker hanging around.
And that's the other joke. Anytime like horses show up in anything that we watch, I was like, hey, isn't this like the greatest thing ever now? Just
like what you saw 30-30 on Brave Star.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Well, to be fair, 30-30 is like really badass.
He is badass. So is Stridor and Night Stalker. I think they're my favorite steeds of the entire He-Man universe, even over Battle Cat and Panther.
JSP's asking if we could have a special one devoted to like Christmas cartoons, or like a Christmas cartoon.
You mean or
like if we pick like any of these
episode that takes place around Christmas time. Like I know there's Batman episodes that take place at Christmas, like holiday nights. You've got Spider-Man taking on the Sinister Six on Christmas Eve. We could do. There's a good Christmas episode of the X-Men with the Morlocks. That's a pretty good, like, kind of heartbreaking episode.
Yeah, we'll do something like that. Because I think in terms of Beyond Retro, I don't really think we're looking to do like a Christmas.
Nah, I don't
themed episode.
I kind of felt like last year, unless we did it, I don't know. I know we did commentary for Garfield, and we discussed like Christmas movies and stuff like that too. Unless we did like a Die Hard discussion or Die Hard 2 or. But I kind of feel like that's been done to death. Like, who hasn't discussed Die Hard? Right. I don't know. We'll cover that. I know December starts today.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to have an idea of what to do. But I'd say we could definitely do is we hope to do Batman Returns commentary with Danielle. So hopefully we have that in the mix sometime this month. So along with you look at it. If we got Injustice Part 2, Cops, Spider-Man 66, like we're gonna have to really just change things up to
No, I mean I'm gonna have that time off starting towards the end. We can
crank out at least a couple of like back to backs or something like that.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Okay, well we'll do our best to get in like maybe holiday nights, Spider-Man versus Sinister Six, X-Men Christmas. Something where Christmas is in the background, not the wholesome, like we're gonna keep it more action based. We'll still keep it like that. But there are thankfully some Christmas episodes that take place. There's even Cobra Claus is coming to town. There's a G.I. Joe episode devoted to Christmas as well. I don't think it's that good, but we got
maybe we can just we can pick out a couple of them and just do them together in like one episode or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Since we both got time. Coming up, and I'll have some more leeway in the evenings. Hopefully, when Nathan's off around the same time, we'll crank out a few Christmas-related episodes on top of everything else we've already told you as well. So
that's the plan.
I appreciate you guys throwing out ideas to us. I like that. I encourage everybody who listens to us or is with us live right now, throw out thoughts and cartoons you want, like Swamp Thing and Christmas-related cartoons with the superheroes and stuff like that. We want your input. We do this for you guys. We so if you're not,
the desperation in your voice is.
I know. Yeah.
Please,
like
God, come on.
I'm like a dog in the Sarah McLachlan commercial. Is there an angel? And I'm just looking all sad and depressed. But somebody please acknowledge the podcast here. So no, thank you everybody for that. So yeah, we'll keep repeating. I just need to shut the hell up here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wrap us up.
Shut up, Tyler.
God. Shut up, man.
Anyway, thanks to you guys that did join us live. It's always on, and I'm kind of like in the past couple of weeks where it's just been a handful of people showing up.
Yeah.
It went from people just checking out Beyond Retro mainly, and then one or two people jumping into this, but starting to see this pick up some steam. So thank you guys for joining us live. If you didn't join us live and you're listening to us in the archive, make sure you hit subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified when we go live and when new videos are posted. Because I think I'm gonna record some things, either stream some stuff, record some things. I'm gonna keep your eyes peeled for some more stuff on the channel. Check out the links down below. Check out beyondretropodcast.com and we'll take you to the Beyond Retro page on Pop Culture Network. Check out the audio downloads, Podbean and iTunes. Links are down there for you guys. And if you guys are joining us from those platforms, make sure you hop over onto YouTube, check us out live, and check out the video streams, because sometimes, especially watching Joe chew that old ass gum, I feel like it's not done justice when you're just hearing it. You need to see it too. Yeah. And speaking of Joe, check out his custom creations and buy some of his t-shirts. And make sure you check out Fans of Power, the He-Man podcast hosted by Tyler and Joe. And occasionally I pop in, or I'm just on there for the whole show now.
Yeah, you pretty much become synonymous with all three shows now.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
I've crossed over.
Yep.
Tyler, you got
time now.
Yeah. You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I got nothing else. I enjoyed doing this. I look forward to next week's second episode commentary. So I've said too much, so I'm going to stop right now and allow us to completely wrap it up.
Yeah, I'll just get sad because I got to go work some overtime for the rest of the day. So that's going to be a blast. But then,
not when he gets that paycheck though, and he lets me know how much money he's got, and I got moths in my wallet.
Yeah, I mean, the paycheck will be good. It'll be worth it. It's just I'm going to be sitting there all day thinking about all the other stuff I could have been doing today. Knowing that I'm normally off, and I won't be. But, yeah, we won't leave it on a down note.
Well, it is December. So we're just leaving everybody with, like, great depressing thoughts when we, like, sign out, you know. Yeah, it's like, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next week for part 2. Take care, everybody.